All right. Chapter 70. Where is he? Oh, shoot. Where'd it go? There he is. Athamas. Athamas, the Aeolian brother of Sisyphus and Salmoneus, ruled over Boeotia. At Hera's command, he married Nephele, a phantom who Zeus created in her likeness when he wished to deceive Ixion, the Lapith, and who was now wandering disconsolately about the halls of Olympus. She bore Athamas 2 sons, Pherecyds and Leucon, and a daughter, Helle. But Athamas resented the disdain in which Nephele held him, and falling in love with Ino, daughter of Cadmus, brought her secretly to his palace at the foot of Mount Laphystium, where he begot Leucus and Melicertes on her. B. Learning about her rival from the palace servants, Nephele returned in a fury to Olympus, complaining to Hera that she had been insulted. Hera took her part and vowed, "My eternal vengeance shall fall upon Athamas and his house." C. Nephele thereupon went back to Mount Laphystium, where she publicly reported Hera's vow and demanded that Athamas should die. But the men of Boeotia, who feared Athamas more than Hera, would not listen to Nephele, and the women of Boeotia were devoted to Ino, who now persuaded them to parch the seed corn without their husband's knowledge so that the harvest would fail. Ino foresaw that when the grain was due to sprout, but no blade appeared, Athamas would send to ask the Delphic oracle what was amiss. She had already bribed Athamas' messengers to bring back a false reply, namely that the land would regain its fertility only if Nephele's son Pherecyds were sacrificed to Zeus on Mount Laphystium. I think that's how you say it. D. This Pherecyds was a handsome young man with whom his aunt Bidis, Cretheus' wife, had fallen in love, and whom, when he rebuffed her advances, she accused of trying to ravish her. The men of Boeotia, believing Bidis' story, applauded Apollo's wise choice of a sin offering and demanded that Pherecyds should die. Whereupon Athamas, loudly weeping, led Pherecyds to the mountaintop. He was on the point of cutting his throat when Hercules, who happened to be in the neighborhood, came running up and wrestled the sacrificial flint from his hand. "My father Zeus," Hercules exclaimed, "loathes human sacrifices. Nevertheless, Pherecyds would have perished despite this plea had not a winged golden ram, supplied by Hermes at Hera's order, or some say by Zeus himself, suddenly flown down to the rescue from Olympus. "Climb on my back," cried the ram, and Pherecyds obeyed. "Take me too," pleaded Helle. "Do not leave me to the mercy of my father." E. So Pherecyds pulled her up behind him, and the ram flew eastwards, making for the land of Colchis, where Helios stables his horses. Before long, Helle felt giddy and lost her hold. She fell into the straits between Europe and Asia, now called the Hellespont, in her honor. But Phrixus reached Colchis safely, and there sacrificed the ram to Zeus, the deliverer. Its golden fleece became famous a generation later when the Argonauts came in search of it. F. Overawed by the miracle of Mount Laphystium, Athamas' messengers confessed that they had been bribed by Ino to bring back false reply from Delphi. And presently all her wiles and Bidis' came to light. Nephele thereupon again demanded that Athamas should die, and the sacrificial fillet, which Phrixus had worn, was placed on his head. Only Hercules' new intervention saved him from death. G. But Hera was incensed with Athamas and drove him mad, not only on Nephele's account, but because he had connived at Ino's harboring of the infant Dionysus, Zeus's bastard, by her sister Semele, who was living in the palace disguised as a girl. Seizing his bow, Athamas suddenly yelled, "Look, a white stag! Stand back while I shoot." So saying, he transfixed Leucus with an arrow and proceeded to tear his still quivering body into pieces. H. Ino snatched up Melicertes, her younger son, and fled, but would hardly have escaped Athamas's vengeance had not the infant Dionysus temporarily blinded him, so that he began to flog a she-goat in mistake for her. Ino ran to the Malorian rock, where she leaped into the sea and was drowned. This rock afterwards became a place of ill repute because the savage Sirion used to hurl strangers from it. But Zeus, remembering Ino's kindness to Dionysus, would not send her ghost down to Tartarus and defied her instead as the goddess Leucothea. He also Tartarus and deified her instead of the goddess Leucothea. He also deified her son Melicertes as the god Palamon and sent him to Isthmus of Corinth riding on dolphinback. The Isthmian Games, founded in his honor by Sisyphus, are still celebrated there every 4th year. Athamas, now banished from Boeotia and childless because his remaining son, Leucon, had sickened and died, inquired from the Delphic oracle where he should settle and was told, "Wherever wild beasts entertain you to dinner." Wandering aimlessly northward without food or drink, he came on a wolf pack devouring a flock of sheep in a desolate Thessalian plain. The wolves fled at his approach, and he and his starving companions ate what mutton had been left. Then he recalled the oracle, and, having adopted Hilaritus and Conaria, his Corinthian grandnephews, founded a city which he called Alos from his wanderings, or from his serving maid Alos, and the country was called Athamania. Afterwards, he married Themisto and raised a new family. J. Others tell the tale differently, omitting Athamas's marriage to Nephele. They say that one day after the birth of Leucus and Melicertes, his wife Ino went out hunting and did not return. Bloodstains on a torn tunic convinced him that she had been killed by wild beasts, but the truth was that a sudden Bacchic frenzy had seized her when she was attacked by a lynx. She had strangled it, filleted it with her teeth and nails, and gone off, dressed only in the pelt, for a prolonged revel on Mount Parnassus. After an interval of mourning, Athamas married Themisto, who a year later bore him twin sons. Then, to his dismay, he learned that Ino was still alive. He sent for her at once, installed her in the palace nursery, and told Themisto, "We have a likely-looking nursemaid, a captive taken in the recent raid on Mount Citharion." Themisto, whom her maid soon undeceived, visited the nursery, pretending not to know who Ino was. She told her, "Pray, nurse, get ready a set of white woolen garments for my 2 sons, and a set of mourning garments for those of my unfortunate predecessor Ino. They are to be worn tomorrow." K. The following day, Themisto ordered her guards to break into the royal nursery and kill the twins who were dressed in mourning, but spared the other 2. Ino, however, guessing what was in Themisto's mind, had provided white garments for her own sons and mourning garments for her rivals. Thus, Themisto's twins were murdered, and the news sent Athamas mad. He shot Leucus dead, mistaking him for a stag, but Ino escaped with Melicertes, sprang into the sea, and became immortal. L. Others again say that Phrixus and Helle were Nephele's children by Ixion. One day, as they wandered in a wood, their mother came upon them in a Bacchic frenzy, leading a golden ram by the horns. "Look," she babbled, "here is a son of your cousin Theophane. She had too many suitors, so Poseidon changed her into a ewe and himself into a ram, and tupped her on the island of Cromissa. What happened to the suitors, mother? Asked little Helle. They became wolves, Eno answered, and howl for Tisiphone all night long. Now ask me no more questions, but climb on this ram's back, both of you, and ride away to the kingdom of Colchis, where Helios' son, Aetes, reigns. As soon as you arrive, sacrifice it to Eris. Phrixus carried out his mother's strange instructions and hung up the golden fleece in a temple of Eris at Colchis, where it was guarded by a dragon, and many years later, his son Presbon, or Cytisaurus, coming to Orchomenus from Colchis, rescued Athamas as he was being sacrificed for a sin offering. I'll do the footers next time.